What's up, y'all? It's a sermon. Oh, it's email a sermon. It's called "Love is Thicker Than Water." The text is Matthew 11:20. Let's read the text first. That's the big idea. It's Matthew 11:20. Whoa, I'm repeating towns. Then Jesus began to denounce the towns in which most of his miracles had been performed because they did not repent. I'm just going to read the text that is sent, and not the whole thing. That was Matthew 11:20. So let's see. John 1:11. He came to that which was his own, but his own, but his own did not receive him. All right, let's go with Genesis 12:3. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. All right, let's go with the next one. And remember, the topic is love is thicker than water. Let's go with Genesis 22:18. And I'm reading from the New IV. And through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me. Let's go with Romans 9:5. I'll email these. So bang. Theirs are the patriarchs, and from them is traced the human ancestry of the Messiah, who is God over all. Forever praise. Amen. All right, let's go with Romans 9:5. Oh, wait, that's Jeremiah 23:5. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, a king who will reign wisely and do what is just and right in the land. Yeah. Let's go with Samuel 11:2. But Nahash, the Ammonite, replied, I will make a treaty with you only on the condition that I gouge out the right eye of everyone of you, and so bring disgrace on all this Israel. Hold on, that was 1 Samuel. Let me read 2 Samuel, my bad. Samuel 11:2. One evening, David got up from his bed, and walked around on the roof of the palace. From the roof, he saw a beautiful woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful. And David sent someone to find out about her. The man said, "She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, and the wife of Uriah the Hittite." Then David sent messengers to get her. She came to him and slept with her, and he slept with her. Now she was purifying herself from a monthly uncleanness. Then she went back home. The woman conceived, sent word to David, saying, "I am pregnant." So David sent this word to Joab, "Sent me Uriah the Hittite." And Joab sent him to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked him how Joab was, how the soldiers were, and how the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." So Uriah left the palace, and a gift from the king was sent after him. But Uriah slept at the entrance of the palace with all his master's servants and did not go down to his house. David was told Uriah did not go home, so he asked Uriah, "Haven't you just come from a military campaign? Why didn't you go home?" Uriah said, "David, the ark, and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my commander Joab and my Lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go to my house and eat and drink and make love to my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Then David said to him, "Stay here one more day, and tomorrow I will send you back." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and next, and at David's invitation he ate and drank with him, and David made him drunk. But in the evening Uriah went out to sleep on his mat among his master's servants. He did not go home. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it to Uriah. In it he wrote, "Put Uriah out in front where the fighting is fiercest, then withdraw from him, so he will be struck down and die." So while Joab had the city under siege, he put Uriah at a place where he knew the strongest defenders were. When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men in David's army fell. Moreover, Uriah the Hittite died. Joab sent David a full account of the battle. He instructed the messenger, "When you have finished giving the king of his account of the battle, the king's anger may flare up, and he may ask you, 'Why did you get so close to the city to fight? Didn't you know they would shoot arrows from the wall? Who killed Abimelech, son of Jerub Beshith?" Then the woman dropped an upper millstone on him from the wall, so that he died in Thebes. "Why did you get so close to the wall? If he asks you this, then say, 'Moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite died.'" The messenger set out, and when he arrived, he told David everything Joab had sent him to say. The messenger said to David, "The men overpowered us and came out against us in the open, but we drove them back to the entrance of the city gate. Then the archers shot arrows at your servants from the womb, and some of the king's men died. Moreover, his servant Uriah the Hittite is dead." David told the messenger, "Say this to Joab, don't let this upset you. The sword devours one as well as another. Press the attack against the city and destroy it." Say this to encourage Joab. When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, She mourned for him. After the time of mourning was over, David had her brought to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. All right, let me read 2 Samuel 7:10. Ten to 16. And I will provide a place for my people Israel and plant them so that they can have a home of their own and no longer be disturbed. Wicked people do not oppress them anymore as they did in the beginning, and have done ever since the time I appointed leaders over my people Israel. I will also give you rest from all your enemies. The Lord declares to you that the Lord himself will establish a house for you. When your days are over and you rest with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring to succeed you, your own flesh and blood and I will establish his kingdom. He is the one who will build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he will be my son. When he does wrong, I will punish him with the rod wielded by men, with floggings inflicted by human hands. But my love will never be taken away from him, as I look away from Saul, whom I removed from before you. Your house and your kingdom will endure forever before me. Your throne will be established forever. Okay, Genesis 38 and Joshua 2. Looks like it's a lot, so I don't know about reading it. At the time, Judah left his brothers and went down to him and stayed. Yeah, that's a lot. So, at the time, Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with him a man of Adullam named Hirah. There Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite man named Shua. He married her and made love to her. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son who was named And she conceived again and gave birth to a son and named him Onan. She gave birth to another son and named him Shaliah. It was at Kezib that she gave birth to him. Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to raise up offspring for your brother. But Onan knew that the child would not be his, so whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from providing offspring for his brother. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, live as a widow in your father's household until my son Leah grows up. For he thought he may die too, just like his brother. So Tamar went to live with her father's household. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went to Timnah to his men were shearing sheep, and his friend Hira the Adullamite went with him. When Tamar was told, your father-in-law is away in Timnah to shear sheep, she took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down to the entrance to Edom. which is on the road to Timnah. For she saw that Sheila had now grown up. She had not been given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, but she had covered her face, not realizing that she was his daughter-in-law. He went over to her on the roadside and, "Come now, let me sleep with you." "And what will you give me to sleep with you?" she asked. "A young goat from my flock." "Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it?" He said, "What pledge should I give?" "You seal it, you seal and its cord, and the staff in your hand." She answered. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. After she left, she took off her veil and put on the widow's clothes again. Meanwhile, Judah sent the young goat by his friend Adullamite to order to get his pledge from the woman, but he did not find her. He asked the men who lived there where the shrine prostitute was beside the road. There hasn't been any shrine prostitute here. So went back to Judah. They didn't find her. Besides, the men who lived there said there hasn't been any shrine prostitute. Then Judah said, "Let her keep what she has, or we will become the laughingstock. After all, I did send this young goat, but you did not find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar is guilty of prostitution, and as a result, she's now pregnant." Judah said, "Bring her out and have her burned her to death." As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law, "I'm pregnant by the man who owns these," she said, and she added, "See if you recognize whose seal and cord and staff they are." She didn't recognize them and said, "She is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son Shaliah," and he did not sleep with her again. When the time came for her birth, there were twin boys in his womb. As she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand. So the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it to his wrist and said, "This one came out first." But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out. And she said, "So this is how you have broken out." And his name was Perez. Then his brother, who had the scarlet thread on his wrist, came out, and his name was Shira. Genesis 2. So it's all going to get tied together in Joshua 2. Joshua 2. And then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. "Go look over the land," he said, "especially Jericho." So they went and entered the house of prostitution and named Rahab and stayed there. The king of Jericho was told, "Look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land." So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab, "Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land." But the women had taken the 2 men and hidden them. She said, "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go at them quickly. You may catch up with them." But she had taken them up on the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. So the men sent out in pursuit of the spies on the road that led to the fords of the Jordan. And as soon as the pursuers had gone out, the gate was shut. Before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and said to them, "I know the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard now that the Lord had dried up the river of the Red Sea, or the water of the Red Sea. For when you came out of Egypt, and what you did in Tushinim and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear of everyone's courage failed because of you. The Lord your God is God in heaven above and on the earth below. Now then, please swear to be my God and show your kindness to my family, because I have shown you kindness to thee. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother and my brothers and sisters and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death, our lives for your lives. The man assured her, if you don't tell me what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. So she let them down by a rope through the window, for the house she lived was part of the city wall. She said to them, go to the hills so the pursuers will not find you. Hide yourselves there 3 days until they return, and then go on your way. Now the man had said to her, this oath you made us swear will not be binding on us unless, when we entered the land, you tied a scarlet cord to the window through you have let us down, and unless you have brought your father and mother, your brothers, and all your family into your house. If any of them go outside of your house into the street, their blood will be on their heads. We will not be responsible. And for those who are in the house with you, their blood will be on our head, if a hand is laid on them. But if you tell that what we are doing, we will be released from the oath you made us swear. Agreed, she replied. Let it be as you say. So she sent them away, and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. And when they left, they went into the hills and stayed there 3 days until the pursuers had searched all along the road and returned without finding them. Then the two men started back. They went down out of the hills, forded the river, and came to Joshua, son of Nun, and told him everything that had happened to them. They said to Joshua, the Lord has surely given the whole land into our hands. All the people are melting in the fear because of us. Alright, the big idea. We all have a desire to be loved and accepted by our families, but sometimes our relationships with loved ones can be messy. When we think about Jesus' life, we often hyper-focus on the beautiful miracles, healing, and restoration that follow him wherever he went. We highlight the supernatural birth of Jesus and the beautiful of Mary's obedience. Yet when we dig into the background of Jesus, his story can impact us in a deep and meaningful way, as we consider that his ancestry was impacted or was imperfect. Many can relate to a husband's secretive family history, perhaps. That's how Joseph felt when he realized Mary miraculously became pregnant with Jesus. Joseph cared for and loved Mary so much that he did not want her to be humiliated or exposed to public disgrace. Matthew 1:19 says that he planned to divorce her quietly. Have you ever wondered why Joseph was thinking of divorce or public scrutiny? Perhaps Joseph had heard the stories of the struggles of family members who had a controversial past, especially with a few of the women. There are several interesting things about the genealogy of Jesus. Matthew included the names of a few women in his overview of Jesus' image. This was not normal. These details should draw our attention to the names and prompt us to dig a little deeper into the scriptures. The women Matthew included were all foreign. They were not Jews. They were, of course, other women in Jesus' lineage, but Matthew chose to include the ones who weren't Jewish: Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and Bathsheba. These women had strong pasts. Their stories consisted of matters we might consider uncomfortable or even scandalous. Not only were these women foreigners to Israel, but in some ways, a few of them were like the skeletons in Jesus' family closet, and all but one were involved in sexual scandals. Jesus' story includes flawed humans who played out a significant role in history, from significant to questionable and unexpected people. The Messiah was supposed to be a king. He ought to have come from royalty, but his lineage was a mixed bag. The expected family member. This is Matthew 12:3, Matthew 1:1, Genesis 12:22-18, and Romans 9:5. I'm not going to read it because I got 4 more pages. Or 2 more pages. Abraham, also known as Abram, is a pivotal figure in the Bible. He is considered the father of the Israelite nation. Actually, let's read it right. I'm going to stop right there.